Hey, I hope that my audio sounds okay. I think I'm going to adjust it a little bit. Still getting used to this computer. So, I'm at my parents' house, if you didn't know that already. I've been here for a little over 2 weeks, and it's so nuts because when I told people that I was going to be on the East Coast for a month, everyone was like, wow, that's so long. And now that I'm over halfway through the trip, I feel just like so aware that time just flies so fast, and a month really isn't that long. I mean, it's almost October. It's almost the end of the year. This year, I guess it feels like this pretty frequently. Like if you just really think about how fast time goes. And it's interesting because today marks like a beginning and an end stage. So I traveled for about a week, and then I did like a bunch of little traveling. So I flew out to Boston, and then the next day I drove down to Philadelphia, and the next day I went to Baltimore, stayed there for a couple days, then drove back to Philadelphia for a couple days, then up to New York for a couple days, and then back to Massachusetts. And then there was just so much going on. Like that was last week. It's such a blur to me. I barely remember. I don't really remember what happened Thursday, Friday, or Saturday last week. Sunday was a busy day. And then today's Friday. I don't even know how that's possible. And I was anticipating and kind of dreading today and a few days ago because of just like some things that were happening throughout this trip. And it was like I felt the same way about getting back from all the road trip traveling part of this trip. So like I said, like going to Baltimore, New York, Philadelphia, all that stuff. That was really fun, but I'm recognizing that I enjoy traveling. I'm curious if any of you feel this way. I enjoy traveling, but I don't really feel super comfortable living out of a suitcase. And I was thinking today, like, can I embrace that more? And I wouldn't say it was like drastically uncomfortable or anything. It just kind of wore away at me. And it was most uncomfortable, like switching from place to place so much. Like I've spent the night at so many different places in the past couple weeks. And that to me is a bit unsettling. And just before I started recording this video, I was thinking how I kind of just like feel like my stuff's all like scattered around my parents' house, even though I'm like trying to keep it organized, just feels like it's all these different places. And I was thinking about how it would feel nice to go back to my place and like put everything back in the right places, even though my place like doesn't feel super organized right now. My place in Los Angeles, I went through, if you may remember, like in April of this year, I did all this organization. I did the life-changing magic of tidying up, and that felt so amazing. And then I just felt like things got a little hectic, so I stopped organizing as much. And I guess I'm just recognizing that I feel a bit uncomfortable when I'm not organized. Like it feels so comforting to organize and to be organized. And yet I'm not always motivated to be. Like it's kind of the thought of it is stressful. And I think this is something I'm recognizing more and more about myself is that a lot of the things that we want to do sound really good in theory and we know they will feel good, but it's the process of actually doing them, like starting them, that's so challenging, right? And I feel like I also really enjoy changing a lot. I really love improving, striving to just be better. I'm better about things and trying new things. I love all of that. That's really exciting to me. But there's also that just desire to get things done and be done with it, if that makes sense. I was also reflecting on how in the past couple months I've received a lot of things that I really wanted. Like a big thing is this computer that I'm on right now is a brand new computer, and I've been wanting a new computer for at least the past 2 years. I remember thinking about this at the end of 2016 and getting really close to buying a new one. And I was like, maybe I should wait. And I kept waiting and waiting. And finally, my computer is just like incredibly frustrating to work on my old one. And so I invested in this computer, and it's like so amazing. And there's also something else really big that happened a couple months ago, about a month ago, that I am going to make a video on. And that was like a really huge thing that I've been thinking about for a while as well. And just like, it's so interesting that when that difference between really wanting something and then when you get it. And I'm really fascinated by that. I think like that's a really fascinating part of life, especially for people that have big goals and are like determined to get what they want, and positive things that they want. So I think about this when it comes to careers, or just like living the life you want. Like, do you want a house? Do you want to get married? Do you want to have kids? Do you want to have the nice cars? Do you want to get a certain income? All of these things that a lot of us strive for. It's really fascinating to keep track of how you feel before and after you get something, right? And it's like, I feel this strong desire to stay in that same place of gratitude and not take things for granted that I have, right? Like this computer to me is like such a big deal. It's a material object, but I feel so inspired and I feel just so much more satisfied. I feel like I'm getting things done fast. It's just like it feels so huge to me. I love technology. So like new technology really excites me. But there's going to become a time where this computer no longer feels exciting, or I could choose for it to always be. I could choose, maybe, what actually I might do, not to give away my password, but one thing I really love to do is for my, whenever I'm logging into my computer, I have a password. It's actually different on this one. I'm skipping around a bunch, but okay, let me finish that thought. One thing I love to do is to make my password on my computer a really powerful word so that I have to type it in constantly and I'm always thinking about it. So it could be like a goal or it could be something that really resonates with me. However, this computer I just got has this new Touch ID. So it's an Apple computer. And just like an iPhone, you put, or at least the older iPhones, you put your thumbprint in and that would unlock your phone. You could do that with the computer now. So previously I would be typing this manifestation password over so many times a day, and that was really helpful. But I think maybe I can put this as my desktop background, or I can use it on my phone somehow, like just to remind myself to be really grateful for this computer and grateful for, the other new big thing that I got that I promise I'm going to make a video about sometime soon. Now that I have this computer, I feel so inspired to make videos, like edited videos again. So I'll be sharing that soon-ish, whenever that means. That's just one of my points. Is it's like it's really interesting because today marks this part in this trip that I'm on right now where I've crossed the halfway mark. So I have less than 2 weeks left on the East Coast. And I feel kind of sad about that. Hi, Debbie. Speaking of which, Debbie was somebody that I traveled with for part of this trip. I guess it feels a little weird that like weeks go by so fast. And yeah, I just like already feel sad that this trip is like almost over, even though it's not over yet. It just like, it's just kind of sad when time passes really fast to me. and trying not to like hold on to that emotion too much because I don't want to feel sad. I just want to feel grateful for each moment. I guess it just felt like it went by so fast because there was a lot of like, there was just so much happening. And the next few days, my intention is to do very little and just stay put at my parents' place. My parents and my sister are going to be traveling too. So, like, my goal is to focus on myself. I have to get some taxes done. I have like some big projects I have to finish this weekend and just like chill out and not like try not to go many places. Like, maybe go to the grocery store and just load up on a ton of stuff tomorrow and spend the entire weekend here just like chilling out and letting time pass a little bit slower. So that's my goal, but I know that it does go by fast no matter what. And it's just kind of crazy and it kind of makes me sad. Like, the thought of going back to Los Angeles, I really love my life back there. And it's always such an amazing contrast being in Massachusetts versus California and Los Angeles in particular. Just the fast pace that is. Like, my parents live in this super small town and it's just like nature everywhere. And it's really, really peaceful here. And I miss elements of LA, but I'm like, part of me just wishes I had an open-ended ticket, you know, where I could just stay here for as long until I felt like it. I almost drove out here for that reason, but it just didn't end up working out that way. So I don't know. I think I'll probably feel different in 10 days or 12 days, whenever it is that I'm flying back to LA. Sometimes life just feels like it's going by so fast, you know? And speaking of life, the other thing that I felt like discussing, even though it's like a really hot topic, and I don't really like to get political here, but I was just so fascinated by the things that were happening today with the Supreme Court and the hearing with Judge, is it Kavanaugh? Is that how you pronounce his name? If you don't know what I'm talking about, then I would recommend going and looking into the news. I'm not someone that's ever been that into politics, so that's why I wouldn't blame you if you didn't know about this. I think I knew about it and became more interested in it because my parents are both really into the news. They're the types that like always know everything that's going on. And I usually read like a daily summary of the news, and that's like how I stay on top. So I knew a little bit of what was happening with this hearing. And today I had to drive a ton. I was in the car for probably 3 hours or so. And it just so happened that when I was in the car was when this hearing was being broadcast live through the radio. And I just got so pulled into it because it's really such a fascinating thing in US history. So again, if you haven't been paying attention, I encourage you to, because it's definitely marking a big shift in our government in ways we may not even know yet, ways we may not fully understand. And everybody has different opinions on this if they're paying attention. It's really interesting how much it polarizes people. And I think what I was most fascinated by was how this, I'm actually pretty interested in the justice system. Like, I like watching movies or reality TV shows about these things like trials. And, one thing I've thought a lot about is how it can feel unjust, or podcasts, what was that one? The Serial podcast, right? And it was kind of this big theme about like how we decide if somebody's guilty of something or not, and all this evidence, and like just the whole process of it is fascinating. But it can also, the trickiest part about our justice system, at least in the US, is that it's not very black and white. And there's so many biases, so many opinions, so many things that are set up in kind of archaic ways. And I think like what's really interesting about this current hearing with the Supreme Court and the Judge Kavanaugh's situation is like I have compassion for him and I have compassion for the woman that's accusing him of sexual misconduct. And I was just really interested in my reaction to it, like listening to this and thinking like, wow, I don't know exactly how I feel about this. And I'm curious if any of you, if again, if you're paying attention, you probably have a strong opinion on this because it's hard not to. You know, on one hand, we have this woman who found the courage to stand up and share her story and something that happened to her, and just it was just an extreme act of courage what she did, Dr. Ford. And there's so much momentum around that. Like on Instagram tonight, I was just scrolling through and there was all these women. I follow a lot of like strong female types, like leader types on Instagram, like Marianne Williamson and Gabby Bernstein and is it Glennon Doyle and Elizabeth Gilbert, like a lot of authors and spirituality teachers and all of that. All these women that are really, really big into the Me Too movement and women's rights and all that. And so all those women were just posting their support for Dr. Ford. And it was just so inspiring, you know, as a woman to see this uprising of people that are just really standing behind this woman in court. And on the other hand, or on the same hand, I mean, just the other side of it, I guess, is like feeling my heart go out to this guy that's on trial right now, or whatever you call it. It's interesting because it's like this Supreme Court hearing, but just to hear his side of things, and I just feel like very confused, you know, because there's like her story, his story, and the truth. And it's probably somewhere between the two of them, you know? And nobody can really know. This is also something that happened like 30 something years ago. And so we've got memories. Like it just is such a amazing reminder of like how fragile our memories are and how two people can see the same time frame as completely different, you know? And I think that just makes these situations so interesting. And it also is really fascinating the way that it's bringing up a lot of tension between Democrats and Republicans. And that really pulled at my heartstrings a lot. Like that probably is the element of this that just feels really sad and unfortunate. Is just how much anger, so much rage that comes up with situations like this. And just how these, you know, a lot of these people in the court are like old men and they're just bickering and screaming at each other and accusing each other of things, and like, you know, just the way they interact, it just feels that feels sad to me, you know. And there's barely any women in there, you know. It's like, I don't know, it's just fascinating. It's really a riveting thing, and it's also interesting to see history being made, you know, like for better or for worse. Like when you witness historical moments like this and you think like this is the type of thing that's going to be in history books and that's going to be reviewed for many, many years. And it can just be such a pivotal moment in our lives as for those of us who are US citizens. So for someone like me who's not very concerned with politics, it's just one of those things where I'm like, I need to really pay attention to this and I need to know what's going on. And there's so much going on all the time. You know, talk about time going by so fast. You also think about just how much is happening in the world every day and all these different countries, all these different people, and, you know, natural disasters and government issues and crime. And oh, there's just so much happening, you know. And I'm somebody that has viewed life so positively and doesn't really feel the weight of the world like in a really intense way, if that makes sense. When I think of a issue happening in the world, I immediately just want to find a solution. And so much of my career has been based around inspiring other people to take action, positive action, and make change, and knowing how empowered each of us are, But there's a lot of things happening that are really hard to change. And that's not to give up. It's not a defeatist perspective. It's just, I can see how it can be incredibly overwhelming. And then, like, you wonder with things like this hearing, are we just looking at this as entertainment? Like, that's the other thing. When I was listening to this live hearing today in the car, I'm listening to it on the radio, and I'm like, am I just listening to this because it's entertaining? And you just start to see so much of the world through this lens of, like, are people absorbing media to be entertained or to be inspired or to be outraged or to be educated, and we have so much going on in our heads all the time. There's so much happening, so much to pay attention to. And no wonder time goes by so fast, No wonder it's hard to feel gratitude or to be present, because it just feels like a never-ending stream. And that's another reason why I'm looking forward to this weekend, to just slow down and, I don't know, just try to take a slower pace to it all, So those are some of my thoughts and experiences. Thank you for watching. I hope the audio sounds okay. I'm using the internal mic for this and still getting used to it all. I don't usually play back videos like this, so I like to get the feedback from people like yourselves to make sure that everything's working okay. Usually no news is good news, so the fact that no one said anything about the audio leads me to believe it's probably pretty good. And maybe you even heard the dog snoring in the background. Speaking of snoring, I'm going to go to bed. Thank you so much for watching, as always. If you're watching the recording, and even if you're watching live and you have some thoughts on the things that I brought up today, I would love to hear them. I really do love hearing from you. And also, speaking of that, I keep forgetting to mention this in the beginning of my videos, I think because I just want to jump right into topics, but I've been doing regular giveaways lately. So if you go to whitneylauritsen.com/giveaway, or just click the link in the description field, you can check out my giveaways right now. We're in between giveaways. So one just ended a few hours ago and one's beginning in a few hours. So if you go to the site right now, as in if you're watching live, you will see like the page saying giveaway coming soon, but you can read the details on it. And the best way to participate or to be notified when I have giveaways is to sign up for the newsletter. And the new newsletter is coming out tomorrow morning, which is a little behind schedule, but I just wanted to focus on some other things today, so it didn't end up getting done when I thought it was going to. But it'll be coming out Friday, September 28th, sometime in the early afternoon or morning. So you can sign up for that, and as soon as the newsletter goes out, then you'll know that the giveaway is running. And even if you don't care about giveaways, if you sign up for the newsletter, it's a really great way to stay up to date on things that I'm doing, things that are happening. In this newsletter, there's like a really great event that I'm passionate about. There's some details about that. There's some details about projects I'm working on. What else is in this newsletter? There's a great quote in there. Oh, there's some information about a really cool movie that just came out. So usually what I put in my newsletters are like reviews or video links or event notifications, giveaways, anything that is new, noteworthy, and or noteworthy is going to be in my giveaway, my newsletters. And it's been really rewarding getting them out. So I hope that you will check it out. I don't usually publish uncensored stuff in there, but you can subscribe to this channel and be notified. and turn on the notifications so that you know when I go live so you can be here and part of the conversation. Speaking of which, I just want to acknowledge Vahe and Derek and Debbie and everyone else who's watching. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate each and every one of you, especially those of you who tune in every time I go live and watch these long videos. I'm so grateful for you. I've been thinking about so much of how to do videos lately and just like the upcoming vlogs that I'm working on. So if you didn't know this, I got a new camera. So I've gotten so many new things lately. Again, so much gratitude. And I got this cute little camera to vlog with, and it's been so incredible. I've captured like hours and hours of footage in the past 3 weeks. So there's tons of video content coming up, and I'm really excited. And again, that'll be shared in the newsletter. So what else can I say? Signing up for the newsletter is a really good idea. I feel like there was one more thing I was going to say. But, I was going to say that I've also been doing some fun content on Facebook lately. This week I did a couple live like trivia videos. So one of them was with my friend Jason. And then another one I did today was like testing your vegan IQ. And it was just like fun to make it interactive. So I don't know. I'm just testing that out with Facebook right now. So I don't know like how often I'll do videos like that, but I'm trying to figure out more of like content I want to do on Facebook. Always so much to think about. And again, that's why time just seems to pass so fast. You know, I look at my to-do list and it's like that idea of not having enough time in the day. But the truth is every day we have the same amount of time. There's plenty of time for everything. So if we can each focus on being more present and more grateful, just taking it day by day and looking at the positive despite any of the challenging occurrences that are happening in this world. I really feel like that's one of the best ways that we can achieve inner peace and outer peace. So don't forget that when you're feeling frustrated or it feels like everything is just moving so fast, just see what you can do to slow things down and be more grateful. It helps me out a lot. And I want to say hi to Green Dragon, who is one of the most faithful live viewers that I've had. So thank you so much. All right, that's it for today. Looking forward to more comments from you, and I'll see you very soon with the next live video. Bye.